Always a pleasure to have you on. I am Pius Kojobaka. To our very first story, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, says the recent decline in inflation is due to measures implemented by the central bank. Inflation declined for the month of August to 40.1% from 43.1% recorded in July this year. According to Dr. Addison, the Bank of Ghana is focused on implementing a prudent framework to restore price stability. He was speaking at a joint meeting opening of the 45th meeting of the Board of Governors of YFM and the 62nd meeting of the Committee of Governors for WAWAM and WAMI.
You would notice that in 2022, we went through an economic crisis for which the government requested for a 3 billion ECF facility from the IMF to restore fiscal and debt sustainability, which has led to a major restructuring of our debt. There are important lessons that we have learned, which we will share with our colleagues during these meetings. Presently, we are focused on implementing a prudent framework to restore stability and promote inclusive growth. We are quite confident about the outlook. As just yesterday we have had a new reading of inflation, we suggest that we have stayed on the disinflation path with inflation declining by nearly 3 percentage points.
Meanwhile, economist Professor Lord Mensah has described as premature to attribute the recent downward inflationary trend to measures being implemented by the central bank. According to him, monetary policy tightening over the period has had little impact on inflation.
Has been quite insensitive. And then also, if you look at the seasonal dynamics of the inflation, clearly September has always been a month of more or less inactive economic activities in this country. And so usually we record low inflation, relative low inflation in September. I would say that it's too early to attribute the policy measures having impact on the what we call it, the inflation. And so let's wait and see how consistent this measure will keep on bringing the inflation down, so we can attribute, the policy committee measures on inflation. But for now, I see the inflation dynamics to be insensitive to the policy rate.
Ghana and 8 other African countries will benefit from the potential source of new investments for future projects in the oil and gas sector. That's according to the Economist Intelligence Unit Africa Outlook 2023 report titled The Challenges Ahead. According to the UK-based firm, the decision by European countries to replace Russian oil and gas with alternative supplies will provide a short to medium term to boost the demand for African energy suppliers. There is more in this report.
The report said many foreign oil and gas investors are seeking to explore opportunities in resource-rich countries such as Ghana. Similarly, African mining ventures, especially those in Botswana and the Democratic Republic of Congo, could receive more attention should Western-based mining companies and commodity traders increasingly shun Russian suppliers of copper, diamonds, gold, iron ore, among other mineral products. Furthermore, the EIU said less resource-intensive and more diversified trading economies will continue to be among the region's fastest-growing economies, including Kenya, Côte d'Ivoire, and Mauritius. Meanwhile, African exporters will face a more challenging external business environment in 2023, although the outlook is far from gloomy. According to the UK-based firm, major export operations are highly exposed to the fortunes of the European Union, the USA, and China. Also, some businesses will face much softer demand in these markets in the year ahead.
And to some other stories, telecommunication firm MTN Ghana has paid a dividend of 34.58 million cedis to the management of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, NIT. This represents an increase of 83% over the 2019 dividend payment of 15 million cedis. The payment consists of a final dividend of 2022 amounting to 24 million cedis, while that of 2023 interim dividend is 9.9 million cedis. Director General of the Trust, Dr. John Ofori-Tinkrant, said SSNIT will continue to deepen its relationship with MTN Ghana. He spoke to Joy Business at the presentation.
The dividend payment, according to MTN Ghana, was as a result of the company's strong performance. Director General of the Social Security and National Trust Fund said such a move is key to foster the relationship between the two entities.
For us, it is investment and its returns are one of the key components on the tools that we have to deliver pension payments for life to our stakeholders. We take contributions. The ones that we do not spend immediately, we have to invest them. And it behooves us to invest them in ventures that are profitable. I think in the past years, many people have said that, SSNIT investments are not profitable and so on and so forth. And they always focus on the unprofitable ones because bad news travels and bad news sells. Today, we are glad to see that some of the investments that we've made are also yielding very good dividends. And so we have to take all of it as part of a portfolio and then make sure that we optimize the portfolio to give us the best risk-adjusted returns.
Chief Financial Officer for MTN Ghana, Antoinette Kofi, also commended SSNIT for their cooperation over the years.
We thought it would be good for us to come and engage with the leadership of SSNIT and also to present to them a check for the final dividends that for 2022, which was paid in June 2023, and then the interim dividends for 2023, which we just paid last week. And so, yes, it's an engagement between us and our key investor, and to encourage them to keep their investments within the MTN family and possibly even increase their investment as we seek to localize more in this country.
And Deputy Director of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SSNIT, Michael Adote Ado, has called on employers to pay the pension contribution of their workers in line with Act 766 and the National Pensions Act 2008 to enhance industrial harmony in Ghana. He assured workers of a livelihood after retirement. Mr. Adote Ado made these remarks during the UK-Ghana Chamber of Commerce third Mandatory Regulatory Compliance for Businesses in Ghana webinar series 2023 on the topic Understanding Pension Funds Administration in Ghana.
Now, for SSNIT, when the monies are collected, that 18.5%, remember the employer comes with 13.5 and employer comes with 13.5 and the employee comes with 5. That 18.5% that is collected is put in a kitty and is distributed as you are seeing on the screen. 2.5% goes to NHI, which is the National Health Insurance Scheme. 5% goes to Tier 2, which is the privately managed Tier 2 scheme. And then SSNIT, the first tier scheme, retains 11%. And that's what is used to pay for the pension scheme. Like I said, that Tier 3 is voluntary, fully funded, and privately managed. And for that one, workers can exploit that privately on their own, up to 16.5% tax exempt. It is quite important that employers comply. Why? Well, besides the law mandating that, honestly, it improves productivity and morale of workers when they do know that their pensions are being taken care of. We realize that it does promote industrial harmony, where you have unions and workers who agitate a lot. When this is taken care of, there's less of that. That's actually controlled. And then it also, of course, projects the company in a good limelight as a good corporate citizen. And we've also realized and come to admit that it helps in staff retention.
On to one of our headline stories, the World Trade Organization has indicated that it will offer Ghana the platform to engage India over the recent rice ban. India, one of the biggest exporters of rice in the world, recently announced a ban on the commodity. This has resulted in a sudden hike in prices of rice on the local market. But speaking to Joy Business in Geneva, Switzerland, Deputy Director General of the World Trade Organization, Ambassador Jean-Marie Bogon, says there is a way out for Ghana.
Actually, we have general policy and case-by-case approach. General policy is that all our members agree to refrain from unnecessary trade restrictions on their exports. So this is what I explained during the crisis. It's very important that you avoid panic mode. That is, everybody holds to its food, and it aggravates the problem because no food circulates. So we need to keep the flows of food. So that is the general answer. Now, the case-by-case answer, when there is one measure from one member, which is impacting another member, for example, the measure that you mentioned from
in India, which was a reaction to other countries as well.
That's Nigeria. Yeah. Then we have a place for discussion of those measures, which is called the Committee on Agriculture, and countries ask the other country, hey, why did you do that? Can you help me with? And most of the time we come to solutions, detailed solutions. So that is, it can be alleviation of the measure for X or X. So these are the two ways of discussing.
But has the WTO tried to engage India on because the rippling impact of this on other developing economies, as some are saying, is quite telling?
We are not prescriptive in that sense. We do. The WTO is not telling countries what they have to do in terms of policies. And in the case of export restriction, a country which feels that it is facing a crisis, in the case of India, it's about the risk of droughts into the north of India due to the El Nino phenomenon. So India has been feeling that there was a risk. It's legitimate under WTO rules. It's possible. What is being asked from our rule book is to be proportionate and temporary, not to.
But so can Ghana file an appeal for this thing to be looked at because of how it's already seen price of rice skyrocket? We are dealing with an inflation issue, and this has thrown.
I think before, the first thing is to engage India and show the impact on Ghana's food security import and all that. And I think this dialogue most of the time gives collaborative solutions. So filing an appeal is always a possibility, but as I said, there is no strict prohibition on export restriction in our rule book when a country is considering to face a crisis. We have some, this is one of the exceptions. So engaging in the Committee of Agriculture would be probably the best way.
Final one, what is the proposals to countries that have been badly hit by the Black Sea grain issue? When it was resolved, we saw prices come down. There's been a problem again, it's back, and we've seen prices skyrocketing. What is the alternative for developing countries like Ghana to lessen the impact of this thing on their food situation?
Well, for the case of Ghana, I do not have tailor-made answer, but in general, what we can say is that all we do to try to keep the trade of food flowing is a way to allow countries to reallocate their imports from one country to another. For instance, Ethiopia has been completely reallocating its sourcing of food from Ukraine to countries like Argentina after the beginning of the war. So that is one element of solution.
A reminder, you're still watching Business Live here with me, Pius Kojo Baka. More after this break. Hello, welcome back. You're still watching Business Live here on the Joy News channel with me, Pius Kojo Baka. Now, the Association of Ghana Industries, in partnership with the European Union, Volta River Authority, Farm Milk, and the Ministries of Trade and Industry, as well as the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, presents the Ghana Industrial Summit and Exhibition 2023 from Monday 18th to Wednesday 20th September at the Accra International Conference Center at 8:30 a.m. each day. Themed Industrialization Through Sustainable and Efficient Supply Chains. And the summit provides massive strategic networking opportunities for local and international participants through conferences, matchmaking, B2B sessions and exhibitions. Joining me in studio is Director of Business Development Services at the AGI, Johnson Opoku-Boateng, who is seated on my far left. Johnson, grateful you could join me on the program, as well as the Trade Councillor with the European Union delegation in Ghana, Raphael Koto, also seated on my immediate left. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me in studio. Now, let me start off with you, Johnson. Tell us the brain behind this whole summit.
Well, so thank you very much. The Industrial Summit started in 2017. Was an offshoot of the local content discussions on oil and gas, but that was only for just about 2 sectors. So we decided to expand to cover all the 23 sectors of the economy. And so since 2017, we've been coming together once in a year. So we have, business people busy going up and down, but we need to sit down once in a year to discuss what has happened, the micro and macroeconomic environments and what is happening to businesses, and engage the policymakers, investors and so on and so forth, to see how we can actually chart a better course for industry in the country.
Great.
So that's why we meet.
Great. Raphael, so for you as the European Union, why did you join the summit?
Yes, because for us it's becoming a tradition now to support this event. It's the 4th time in a row, 4 years in a row that we are supporting our partner AGI in this endeavor. And really, we consider GISE now a brand name when we talk about a landscape of what we can do to help business to thrive, business to be more competitive in the world scene. And the theme of industrialization in particular is very dear to us, because that's really at the core of what we want to do in terms of cooperation with the African continent and with Ghana in particular. So that's why the theme of this year in industrialization through sustainable value chain is really what we want to do in our cooperation.
Great. So for you, Johnson, this theme that you've come up with, tell me more about it and who can participate really in the summit.
Okay, so we've had certain shocks. Okay, so let's roll back to 2020. COVID hit us, right? And after COVID, we've had some global conflicts. Okay, so chief of which is the Ukraine conflict with Russia. And that alone has created a lot of shocks in the supply chain, right? So if you look at wheat, for example, out of the 10 countries that produce wheat, we have China, we have India. Russia, as of 2020, was 3rd. Ukraine was 8th. If you put the two together, that they were controlling about 30% of the wheat production across the world. Now, when the conflict started, we all know what happened with the production of wheat and the supply chain of wheat. Bread became an issue, in terms of the price. Yeah. Fertilizers normally were taken from Russia. So immediately you have the chain broken that way, or there's a shock. Then you have a rippling effect on the other processes. Don't forget that supply chain is just a network of people, suppliers, and so on and so forth. That kind of support creation, production, and distribution of products to the final consumer. And so we were thinking that if Ghana suffered from these shocks, it is important that we try and build a solid supply chain network across the various value chains to ensure that if there's another shock coming, we are resilient, and we'll be able to still continue with our production without having to rely on other countries. And so that is the brainchild behind this particular theme that we are having for this year.
Great. I guess businesses will not have to miss out on that. But who can attend?
Oh, of course. This is an industrial summit, so all industries in Ghana. And remember, we have from categories 1 to category 7. So the big companies and then also the smaller companies are welcome to attend. And we are bringing on board, and that's why the EU here. I think Koto will speak to that part of it. But we have so many programs. Probably I'll have the opportunity to go deeper into the programs. And we think that it's an important and opportune time for all businesses to come to the conference center and participate.
All right, so Raphael, for you as the European Union, I'm pretty sure you've got programs you would want to highlight during the summit. Kindly share some with us if you have them.
Yes, actually, coming on the issue of agriculture and agribusiness in general, I think that's an area where we have a lot of emphasis in our program. We have a number of programs sustaining in different value chain, And in particular, at the event, we are supporting a side event on the second day, on the 19th of September, where we will talk about sustainable agribusiness in Ghana, the opportunity and, of course, the challenges that there is. So we will have speakers that will talk about how this sector can be supported, what are the challenges for the logistic, for the production, for the different actors. And so I think that is a good opportunity to come and to see also our support to the sector.
Finally, for you, Johnson, what is the expected outcome at the end of the 3-day program?
Well, so at the end of the day, and probably let me chip in that we have, if you look at the program from the 18th, which is a Monday, we're having the Minister for Trade, Honorable Katie Hammond, come in, and then also Honorable Brian Champon coming from the agric sector to tell us what government is doing in the field of supply chains, right? And on day 2, we have very juicy topics to discuss. So we have Fan Milk, which is one of our biggest sponsors, and the Yogo is back. Yeah. So Fan Milk is going to be talking about supply chains that affects them. So we are looking at suppliers who will be able to feed these multinationals, okay? We have Mr. Fusudote talking about infrastructure that is going to support supply chains. We have the MD of Unilever, Mr. George Uzo-Ansah, coming in there. We have Professor Noel Tego coming in there. And on the 3rd day, don't forget, everything hinges on energy. Yeah. So we have an energy day that we are going to be discussing energy issues. But we also have side events where we are going to be talking about the AFCFTA for SMEs and how they will be able to take advantage of this.
Great, you've got a lot on your plate for the 3-day period. Final words for you.
Don't forget to come to the EU Pavilion. We will have a big pavilion where we will showcase our project, and also we will showcase companies that we are supporting, small and medium companies that we are supporting. So there will be an opportunity for everybody to taste a little bit of our
and the date is the 18th to the 20th of September, starting this Monday to the Wednesday. So we are expecting everyone to come to the conference center and be with us.
Certainly. Grateful, gentlemen, for your time here on Business Live. So you've got to be there from Monday all through to Wednesday. Yeah. At the Accra International Conference Center. That's our part company here on the Business Live segment program. I am Pius Kojo Baka. Let's connect same time next week. Bye.